Today, we're going to talk about the 5 best things about living in Meridian, Idaho that you need to know. What's up, guys? I'm Chase Dolan, and this is the Living in Boise channel, where I show you what it's like to live, work, and play here in the Boise and Greater Treasure Valley area. If this is your first time to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below, and don't forget about that little bell because I release videos just like this every single Tuesday and Thursday. And as much as I love making these videos, I would love even more to help you with your real estate needs. I am a licensed agent up here in the area, so this phone number, this email, if there's any way that I can help, I would absolutely love to. But today I want to talk about 5 of the best things about living in one of my favorite cities here in the area, Meridian, Idaho. So a little background on Meridian. My wife and I, we actually bought our first 2 homes here in Meridian, Idaho. Meridian is just outside and a little west of Boise. It's probably the closest suburb and where most of the people seem to be flocking to. Over the past few years, all of those lists that have labeled Boise as the fastest growing city in America, now it's kind of transitioned out to Nampa. Meridian had its time to shine. From downtown Boise, you're looking at about a 10 to 20 minute drive depending on where in Meridian you're coming from, and this proximity is part of why it is so appealing. You have access to all of the great amenities of Boise itself, as well as having shopping, restaurants, all of the services even closer as the development has moved out of Boise. When we're looking at the map, Meridian definitely takes up a lot of geographic area. We kind of split it into 2 main areas. We look at Northern Meridian, which is kind of north of Highway I-84, and then we have South Meridian, which is of course south of I-84. North Meridian is where you're going to find a little bit more of the mature neighborhoods. It's more developed. It's just been a focus of development for quite some time. Whereas South Meridian, there's a few streets as you start to go down, but as you get closer to that edge where Kuna is, that is probably one of the biggest focuses of development and especially new home communities here in the area. So you're just going to see South Meridian grow exponentially over the next few years. Part of the appeal with Meridian and people moving away from Boise out to Meridian is just the cost of living. For the most part, here in our Treasure Valley area, the cost of living outside of housing is pretty consistent across the board since our valley isn't really all that spread out. You will see some very minor changes between downtown Boise and as you get out past Caldwell, but for the most part, everything's on par. If you want a detailed breakdown of the cost of living in the area right now, I have a full video on that on my channel, so be sure to check that out. But when we're looking at Meridian, the cost of living for most things is very similar to Boise, but the housing is definitely cheaper. On a whole, when I'm talking to my clients, a home that we would be looking at about $450,000 in Boise, I think we could get something very similar in Meridian for closer to the $400 to $410 range. Because of this, people who are on tighter budgets or first-time home buyers, we start to counsel them a little bit out of Boise proper just because it's a little bit easier to get you into the home. A typical starter home in Meridian, when we're looking at that 3-bed, 2-bath, just over 1,300 square feet, let's say, the very classic split bedroom floor plan, we're going to be looking at probably at least $375,000. If you're around that $400,000, you're going to be in great shape. Once we get south of that $375,000, there are still going to be some opportunities, but the competition gets really fierce and you may have to sacrifice on where exactly in Meridian you want to be, something that's a little bit older and needs some work. But enough with the background on Meridian. Let's get into the top 5 things about living here in the Meridian area. Starting with number 5, Meridian, as it's been growing and just that large geographic area that it really does take up, there truly is something for everyone. No matter what kind of activity you're looking for, what kind of interest you want, there is something in Meridian. This also applies to the real estate in Meridian. There are a lot of different types of neighborhoods in the area, and this gives you pretty much any sort of selection that you want. If you're looking for something that's on a golf course, you're gonna have the new community, which is technically in Kuna, Valor, getting built up right now. We have Lakeview, kind of off 10 Mile in North Meridian, and then of course, Spurwing, which is probably the most prestigious golf club community in our valley. You're of course gonna have a ton of options when it goes to that classic suburban neighborhood out here. You're gonna have some of the newer neighborhoods, which may not be quite as mature, but they're going to have the shiny new homes and amenities. And then you're going to have some of those older homes that are in the more mature neighborhoods with the landscaping, everything that you may want. Meridian is also home to a ton of planned unit development neighborhoods, which really when you're looking at the basic definition of that, is a neighborhood that has a lot of those amenities that you're looking for with walking paths, a couple community pools, some schools in the neighborhood itself. We've got Paramount, Bridge Tower, and Bainbridge, just to name a few in North Meridian. And then in South Meridian, we have Sky Mesa Century Farm and one of the newest and most exciting developments, Pinnacle, getting started. And then also part of what makes it special is if you're looking for something a little bit more rural and you want some acreage, Meridian still has those options, as well as they have a downtown that is starting to get built up pretty quickly. So you're going to have a little bit more of that downtown feel as well. And then outside of real estate, when we're looking at something for everyone in terms of activities or things to do, like I said, there's a ton of golf. You've got a few major parks, Settlers Park, Hobble Creek, pickleball, all of that kind of sparse throughout. And then we also have the Village for shopping, which we'll get into more a little bit later. We've got Wahoo's in Roaring Springs for kind of the arcade mini golf as well as a water park feel. And then Meridian Speedway, which every Saturday night, there's always some races going on for you to check out. The list goes on, and that's truly why I start with there's really something for everyone. Meridian has so much going on that there truly is a space for almost every single family. But moving on, let's go to number 4, the affordability and proximity of Meridian itself. Part of the big appeal that I got into a little bit earlier is Meridian is so close to Boise, the foothills, everything that you would want when you're Googling the best parts about living in Boise, Eagle, whatever the area is. Meridian on the map is centrally located here in our valley. So you're just a 10 to 15 minute drive pretty much anywhere that you want to go. But without the Eagle price tag, without the Boise price tag, Meridian gives you that same proximity where you're not sacrificing really anything in terms of commute or access, but you're gonna have your money stretch quite a bit farther when you're looking at the real estate cost of living. This just can't be said for most of the rest of the valley because of where our main highways are and how everything is kind of in a west to east almost corridor. You're going to be sacrificing something in most of our towns. When you're getting out to Canning County, Caldwell, Nampa, you're going to be sacrificing on the commute and the access to downtown Boise or to the foothills and camping. Kuna, you're going to be adding an extra 10 to 15 minutes on any of your commutes. And then, of course, like I said, Boise, Eagle, and then even a little bit of Star, you're just going to have to pay a little bit more to be in those areas, but there is some appeal there. And Meridian is just in that perfect bullseye center of the valley. And right now it's a little bit more affordable. Number 3 of the best things about living in Meridian, Idaho is the growing downtown. When my wife and I bought our first home in Meridian back in 2018, downtown Meridian, to be completely honest, was where we went for the post office. And that was about it. There was maybe one old restaurant down there, but for the most part, you just drove down Meridian Road to get to I-84, and that was about it. You went down to downtown Boise pretty much for anything that you wanted that downtown feel for. If you were going for a farmer's market, you were heading down there. Any of the bars, brunch on the weekends, any of that feel of that small downtown, you were heading down into downtown Boise for most of it. But over the last few years, we've seen the downtown portion of Meridian start to get built up extremely fast. They now have their own farmers market. 830 Common down there is one of our favorite brunch spots. They do trivia weekly, Heritage Hop House. There's a few new bars, barbershops, everything. It's probably never going to be on the level of downtown Boise, but of course not. That's not what you're looking for. But this does give you something that's just 5 minutes away from your house instead of needing to travel that 15 to 20 minutes to get whatever feel you want. And this feeds directly into number 2 of the best parts about living in Meridian, Idaho, is the eating and shopping that are right at your fingertips. This all starts right off Eagle Road at the Village at Meridian. This is where you're going to have a lot of the chain restaurants, your Chick-fil-A, Noodles and Company, Blaze Pizza. You're also going to have some shopping. And the Village itself is an outdoor mall that has a courtyard with fountains, places to eat outside. There's always activities. There's a park right in the center, but you have a few of your bigger patio restaurants as well as a movie theater. For anybody that has lived here for a while or moves to the area, the Village really does turn into a mainstay of your life here. You're going to be going there for shopping, meeting up with people, going out to eat on the weekends, or again, the movie theater. Outside of the Village, Eagle Road as a whole is where a lot of that eating and shopping is going to take place here in Meridian, as well as in the northwestern corner of Meridian. We're starting to have some major development on Chinden and Linder where we're having a ton of restaurants, shopping, everything that you would want, including the new absolutely gorgeous Meridian Library up there, some grocery stores. That's just going to continue to develop. South Meridian, we're starting to see the same thing as the development moves out there. we're just getting more and more and more options. And now, for the number one best thing about living in Meridian, Idaho right now is the way that it is growing so quickly, but there is still so much room for it to grow. Because of how much geographic area when I showed you on the map Meridian has, even though it's been growing at a breakneck pace and it feels like development just will not stop in this area, Meridian still has a ton of room to grow, which means it's only going to continue to get better over the next few years. And for you, if you're looking at a home in the area, part of why we bought our first couple of homes there is this is a great opportunity for equity. It's still one of the more affordable places in Ada County here in the area, but you're going to continue to see a spike because new construction drives the market and there always seems to be a new development popping up. And especially when we're talking about South Meridian, there are some great opportunities for some absolutely gorgeous developments, but you're going to be on the cutting edge of Meridian and Kuna starting to meet, which means that equity position that you're going to have over the next few years is really going to set you up well. And hopefully this helps you walk through exactly what I mean when I say this. Buying a home here in the area is going to be a wise investment, yes, but I am not one to counsel everybody on only purchasing your primary home based off the investment and the numbers. You want to enjoy where you live, buy for the lifestyle, and make a smart financial decision along the way. And that marriage of those two, Meridian can be a really great place. Now, while I can continue to just rave about Meridian, why it's one of the best places to live in the area, this really is just the tip of the iceberg, believe it or not. If you have any questions about Meridian or you want to know something specific about what I said, or if it might be a good place for you and your family, this phone number, this email, I'm the one who answers all of those questions. So feel free, reach out, drop a comment below. If there was anything that I missed, I would love to chat a little bit more about it. But outside of that, I hope that this was helpful, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.